Welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome all to the regular meeting of the Cornwall Board of Selectmen. First thing is approval of minutes, April 19th. Is there a motion to approve those?
I approve.
Second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, communications. Let's see, any communications? The only communications I have is from people who've seen a lot of bear sightings and Cornwall, some big press on a bear that was got stuck inside a car. They definitely are around, and people are encouraged to take in their bird feeders, take away anything that might attract the bears. A Cornwall resident that's moved here from Alaska told me that they especially like minivans because that's where all the crumbs are. So anyway, be prepared is the best way to deal with them. They're definitely out in greater numbers, so heads up for them. Additions to the agendas. Anybody got any additions to the agenda?
I do.
Yeah.
Just a healthcare update. I'd like to
Okay.
put broadband on, if it's possible, to have that as those two subject, just to keep them on here, just for quick updates.
Yep. Okay. All right, so second to add those two things.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So let's add those two things. Marina Kachabi, the beach director, is gonna be a little late tonight, so why don't we go to those additions first? Because we're gonna have to wait a little bit for her to come. Healthcare update, you have your van coming on, or the van coming on Wednesday.
Yes, the van, the first day for the van will be tomorrow.
Right.
So it was in the Chronicle, like I posted it, I put posters around town. So between 9 and 12, all insurance is accepted. And if you don't have insurance, they'll help you get signed up. And if you need to, you can also have a sliding scale of fees based on your income. So no reason not to get care. You can make an appointment or walk in. It's easier if you make an appointment, but they're not going to turn any walk-ins either. So then you just come into the union and sign in, and then you get your care out in the mobile unit, which will be parked right out front.
Okay. Let's see, anything else on healthcare? Okay, thank you.
There's more stuff in the works, but nothing active to report.
Right.
I'm
okay.
meeting with a group from the region on bringing healthcare, more healthcare to the region. And I'll be happy to report back on that.
Good. Okay, well, we'll look forward to the van tomorrow. If I can, I'll try to get down there.
Good.
Let's see, Optimum. Yeah, we've been getting a list of questions together. I've had Casey Cook join our effort, replacing Johan Windsor. He and Andrew Hofer have gotten, we've gotten a list together of questions for Optimum. They have not filed any permits yet to build cabinets, but we are looking at a list of questions and trying to set up a region-wide meeting with the executives of the company to look at what their schedule is for building the town out. So anyway, things are going along there. And I have urged them to get a meeting with elected officials in the service area, within the next month. So hopefully we'll get that. If not, nothing else, we will get our outstanding questions together to them. So far, the questions range for things like potential fee structure, what is the limits of coverage, especially in concerns of driveways, long driveways. Another area of underserved areas, there's area up on River Road that has no internet, so trying to get them to cover that. So anyway, so we'll put our heads together, getting a list of questions together. They're still committed to doing their build out. So
I just have a quick question, Gordon.
yeah,
So are they committed to passing every house?
oh yeah,
Okay, so
They're-
no one in Cornwall will be left out. That's what they're saying.
everyone they service now will have a option of fiber. Now, what that, I mean, because basically they've wired the entire town, as far as we've been able to tell, has some cable access, at least at the road. Not everybody has cable, but they at least have the wire going past their house on the road, with the exception, I believe, the River Road, most northern part, that's fed, their power is fed in from Sharon, is the only area that doesn't have it. I may learn more about that, but this will be, fiber to the home is what they're saying.
Okay, fiber to every home is what.
To every home. Now, whether it's to down every long driveway is another whole question, but at least it will be there. And again, we're gonna nail all that down.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, electric vehicles, another ongoing interest story there. There is a conference for municipalities tomorrow, which I'm going to attend via Zoom. I think it's put on by Eversource in the state of Connecticut. At this point, we're looking at trying to get a charging station in each of the 3 villages in town, looking at sites, looking at costs. Henry LeBon has given me some advice on that, and how much does it cost? What kind of maintenance is common with this? Who pays for the electricity? And there is some other work to be investigated between the high voltage quick chargers and the lower voltage slower chargers. So anyway, I will be much smarter on all this after tomorrow afternoon. So anyway, that will stay on that. And again, the Eversource grant says this stuff has to be installed by the 31st of December. So again, I'm going to approach James and Adele at the Country Market, because they have like a little visitor center there, and that would make sense to have one there. The people at the new restaurant in West Cornwall have talked to me about having a spot there, and then we have the library or town hall at other spots in Cornwall Village. So it seems like we have spots there. Again, we do own the fire station in Cornwall Bridge, but I think putting it at the Country Market, if they are agreeable to that, might make more sense. So anyway, so that's still, we're working on that, trying to get a proposal together. Another thing we've been working on is getting security cameras at the highway department. Jim is aware of people being there after hours. And also the advantage of what we're looking at is installing ones that would also show the gate area at the transfer station. And unfortunately, we haven't had any big theft problems, but this is one of the ways that we prevent that from happening. So Jim has gotten some quotes from Apex, ADT, and I believe there's another one that came in late this afternoon. What was the name of that, John? Soundwork or something like that?
Soundworks and security.
That's right.
Right. So he's met.
I have a
He's met-
question.
Yep.
Only one of these, and that's the ADT commercial, mentions a recurring service charge of $50 a month. Is each one going to have a recurring service charge?
No, apparently he talked to Apex about that. And they said, once we install it, you shouldn't have any problems. If we have a problem, we'll come out and do an hourly rate to
Okay.
do that. So
Thank
the other ones, and Jim did talk to one of our neighboring towns that use Apex and found they had not had any issues once the thing was installed. And so it's his recommendation at this point to go with the least expensive bid, which is Apex, based on his research to date. So I'd make a motion then that we would accept that recommendation. Is there any discussion?
Oh, I think if Jim, I think we kind of have to depend on his recommendation a bit. Certainly not my area of expertise. And if he's comfortable with it and others have had experience with it, then I would certainly trust his recommendation.
Right, okay. So then I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Marina is here now.
Okay, Marina's here.
Hi,
So, hello.
sorry about that. How are you
Oh,
guys?
no problem. We've gotten all the way down to number 4 already, so
I
we're
know
on a
that.
roll. Great. So anyway, catch your breath and
Sorry,
get
let me get out of
here.
this. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, we've been talking at some roadside chats about the beach for the coming season. So, and you've been
Some update.
doing some work trying to see what the year looks like. So why don't you take it away?
Sure. So I talked to Liv Scott, who is going to be doing swim lessons for the CHLA. And they told me that they'd be willing to also work for Hammond, which is really welcome news because Liv is at the top of their game when it comes to teaching kids and has done it for many years and has been the swim program instructor previously. So we had sort of talked about integrating the program, but that's not really going to be possible considering the renovations happening at the club right now. In fact, I think part of the little kids swim area where the lessons would take place is actually going to be sort of warded off because of the construction. So Liv and I talked, and I suggested that we give Liv an amount of hours to be able to do the lessons that we need. And what's really nice is that the schedule is going to be flexible. So I think what wasn't working in the past was having this fixed schedule based upon this idea that parents could bring their children during work hours, which is a thing of the past, I think, largely. And so Liv is willing to create a schedule based upon interest. And so my next step is to send Patty at the school surveys and registration forms to understand the age of the children that are interested and the availability of the parent schedule to bring them to the beach. And so this might include weekends as well, which is a really welcome idea this year. We've never done that in the past, and I think people have asked that a lot. So I'm going to work with Liv on understanding the schedule and understanding the capacity between the two sides, but I think everyone's really willing to make this work. In terms of a swim team, that is not actually, it's not happening this year. I talked to Lisa, who's the director of Park and Rec, I believe is her title, maybe I'm wrong, in Salisbury, and we're not going back to the traditional meet system, which used to be that like there would be 2 meets a week for the period of a month. We're actually going to explore a more casual approach, which is just having kind of fun competitions where kids from all towns could convene in a location and we would sort of hop locations, and Cornwall would definitely be involved, and it would be more like relay races and like sort of a fun competition versus the traditional swim team. It was my understanding with her that like the towns are just not ready to go back to the way it was, and not to say that we are not going to get there, but I think this is like the first step back. And I like that idea because it makes it fun, and I also don't think we're gonna have enough kids, to be quite honest, of the age of swim team that it's gonna make it a real thing. So Liv and I will be working on like facilitating that program and making that work. We are still looking actively for a head lifeguard who will be on the ground 5 days a week, who will work with me to ensure that the rules are being followed, and anything that the beach needs, that person will be able to report to me. That's how it was traditionally, and it worked really well. And so we're hoping to get back to that. So we're looking for that position, then we're looking for lifeguards, and we're looking for approximately 8 to 10 lifeguards. It's a tall order. I spoke to Bill Hool, who's the sort of all things lifeguard in this region, and he said that although there are many certified lifeguards, that the full-time job is a scarcity. So my idea is, okay, fine, we know that. So let's try to get as many people as we can and schedule them at the start of the summer, which is what I used to do traditionally. And so that's the path that I would like to go forward with. And then my role would be largely like events and making sure that, you know, the larger aspect of the management is being covered in terms of opening and closing, and like building management, which Gordon and I would like to go down if you have time this week to show you some things.
Sure.
But I'm really confident with Liv on board that this will get back to like a really like integrated summer.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll give you a call about maybe Thursday. We can
That
head
works.
down, take a look Thursday morning. Can you get a little press release or something together for, we can put up on the website and tell people, because we already have had inquiries on swim lessons, and I believe Liv has worked for us before.
Yep.
And so she knows the deal. That's great. So yeah, so why don't we make a motion to have Liv be our swim lesson instructor, so that would get that nailed down. And then again, having it on weekend hours, I think with everybody's work schedules are different than they used to be, and having that flexibility, I think, is great. And again, so there would be the lessons. People can, Cornwall residents can sign up for lessons, and the lessons we're talking about would be at the Hammond Beach.
Correct. And it's going to be different than in years past. Traditionally, what I've done is I've had a grid with a schedule, and you understand where your child is and you understand what level the child has to go to, and that level is taught at X time on X day. That's not working anymore. So what Liv and I were talking about is understanding where we are in terms of like a week by week basis, or maybe it's a bi-weekly basis. Who are the children that are interested in having swim lessons? Because I think one of the things too with Hammond is that it's not necessarily full-time residents. It's also people that come for the summer. And so it's like, hey, I want to enroll my child for a week of swim lessons. And so the flexibility for Liv to be able to say, okay, like this week I'm doing X lessons at CHLA and I'm doing Y lessons at the Hammond, and being able to pick the time that's most optimal for all of the people involved is a new thing. And I think it's a really positive thing. And she also mentioned her interest level in teaching adults as well, which we've never offered before, because we've always been on this strict schedule that has largely been dictated by the swim team schedule overall over the region. And now that that's no longer really the case, we can kind of do what we want. Because Tuesdays and Thursdays used to largely be devoted to the swim instructor being away off-site at swim meets for a large portion of the day, and we're not going to have that. So we have some flexibility, which is really nice.
Great. So I'll make that motion that we hire Liv Scott as Hammond Beach swim instructor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Yes, Janet.
So is that, is a swim instructor in the budget?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, is a head guard in the budget?
yes.
Okay. I would just be interested to know more about how you're differentiating your duties, Marina, versus the head guard a little better. You just said, and this is not germane to the motion, so I guess I can can that for a minute and pass the motion because I think Liv is terrific.
Yeah, okay. So back to the motion. So all those in favor? Aye. So that passes. We got a swim instructor. Back to your question, Janet, what you want
Yeah,
to
I'm
know?
just, I guess, you know, like I would just like to know how you're differentiating the duties that you have as beach director versus the head lifeguard. And there was another communication. I believe there was a letter to the select people from Micah Matsudara that we didn't acknowledge in communications. If I'm remembering correctly from this week.
Yeah, well, I felt, yeah, I wanted to get this, you know, underway. And as Marina has been the beach director for several years, I felt that, you know, if we had a program, there's no reason to have another beach director, and hopefully we'll get more people filling the spots as they come. The only other ones we have are lifeguard and head lifeguard at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw that application. I think there's a lot more to the beach director than like is just literally being there. Like there's budgeting, there's scheduling, there's all that sort of stuff. And I'm happy to relook at the numbers in terms of the budget and see like what evens out in terms of the end of the day. I already talked to Gordon about it in terms of how that looks like monetarily in terms of like how seasoned this head lifeguard is and how much they can take on versus me. We have not been afforded the liberty of somebody with the capacity to take on that role. We had that with Helen in prior years. We had that with Riley in prior years. Last year, we didn't have that. And so I think going forward, I think, you know, I'll be very open and honest with you in terms of like who I think is staffed correctly and who can take on the responsibilities off of my plate so that I can focus more on like the budgetary, the equipment, the event planning and all that kind of stuff. And I think it will all even out fairly. At this juncture, I think the role requires somebody with a little bit of experience in running an overall operation versus necessarily just being at the beach every day. And so that's where I'm coming from. And I think with Liv on board and me in this capacity, I think we can facilitate a good summer. And with somebody in a head lifeguard position, that will only strengthen the whole operations of the actual beach. We did not have that last summer due to a lot of staffing issues, but I'm confident that we'll get back there. Bill Hool, who's also does what I do, has offered his services, and so we've also discussed potentially collaborating on that, both from a role perspective and from a financial perspective. So I think there's more to come, but right now there's a lot of work, which is always the case in May prior to the season leading up, which is opening the beach. There's a lot of operations stuff that goes on. And so I'm starting that role right now.
Any other questions? Okay, so we'll keep this on, and again, it'd be good to get a good, yeah, let's set the date for opening. June is going to be here sooner than we know it, and have a good, you know, press release in the Chronicle for June, and get something out maybe even earlier on the website as far as lessons and contacts and things. So
I'm going to send Patty all the registration forms tomorrow. And so who
Great.
do I send that to for the website? Is it
I think that's Rocco. I think is
Rocco?
Rocco.
Okay. All right, Rocco, I'll send you all that stuff. I think you're on. And or he was, yeah, okay, yeah, there he is.
It will,
I'll send him all that information. He can put it on, and then we'll get a better sense of what the enrollment looks like and what we need to do in terms of staffing. So I think this is a good positive step forward.
great. Okay. Thank you, Marina. And at some point, we should, I know we did have events at the beach. Park and Rec is scheduling some events at the town green, and the Economic Development Committee is having some event committee to try to organize events so they don't all happen day or night. So whatever, we can try to work with them if we think we have an opportunity to have, some after hour thing. Like we had some music there at one
Yeah,
point.
well, that's sort of what I want to focus on this summer, honestly. And so if I can staff accordingly, I think we'll be good with that. And Michelle, I welcome the opportunity to work with you, so we can get some stuff organized.
Yeah. Great.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. So,
Gordon, did we do food bank? Did I miss that or?
we took, yeah, you didn't miss it because I didn't do it.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's good. Thank you, John. Can't
Thanks.
slide anything by. All right. Anyway, good news, big news, big savings. Heather Deneen, our social service agent, has been working hard. And last week we did hear that the Connecticut Food Bank has accepted Cornwall as its smallest food bank, so that enables our food pantry to access their bulk buying and their delivery service. So that should increase our offerings and decrease the price substantially. So again, that could save food and fuel fund thousands of dollars during the course of the year, which enables us to put the money we raise towards other necessary things. So anyway, great work on Heather's part. Took a bunch of convincing, I think, that, again, we are a little bit off the beaten path. And she is working with our other organizations in the area to constantly look on how we can make, our services more efficient and effective. So anyway, good work there, good news. That will be there, and I'll give you more details on what that actually means. I believe we had 25 families services this year, or this week, as in yesterday. So anyway, she's working on that. Yes, Janet?
I'm wondering if we're getting bulk goods, which means things are in probably big packages, I'm wondering if we could get reusable containers so that people could take dry goods and not have throwaway containers or containers that may or may not get recycled, that we would be able to get, things that would be able to be reused, that they could fill up their bulk goods and take them home and then come back and refill them.
Okay, I'll ask Heather if that's possible. I know we do use a lot of recycled. Basically, all the packaging we use now is recycled packaging.
But it's
boxes.
even better if we can do it, and I would just let Heather know that I would be happy to help her with that effort. And, we could purchase, glass jars that people could fill with oatmeal or goods.
Okay. Anything else on the food bank? All right. Let's see, West Cornwall Wastewater referendum schedule, sent the board a package of information that we got this week from the bonded council. And in that, there is a schedule of 15 events that have to happen before this is official. Basically, it's a timeline leading up to a referendum on July 9th. Talks about absentee ballots, town meeting on June 25th, and an informational meeting on June 11th. So we'll put, as soon as we get this in a understandable form, I think Todd's going to have a meeting of the study group next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And again, we'll make this all, we'll put this all up on the website, all this information. Some of these resolutions go on for pages as far as what's legally required. But The good news is the explanatory text about the project, which explains what we're proposing to do in somewhat neutral terms, has been approved by the state election commission. So we are at this point authorized to put this in the Chronicle's 3-page insert in June. So that will be the major information piece that gets presented to people. And that has gotten the approval of the state. So we are on schedule. Our next event for this board is we will approve the bond resolution at our next meeting, and schedule the town meetings and the referendum. And then that will put in motion the ability of the town clerk to get absentee ballots. And that is also part of the explanatory text of who can vote. It's more than just electors, it's also property owners that are qualified to vote in town meetings, and all that is explained in our insert also. So we are on schedule after, I think, 5 or 6 years of work to actually get to a vote this summer. So again, thanks to the people who worked hard on this. And we've got some good people advising us. We've got in communication with an engineer who's working with a new application for USDA for a possible other loan. And I will be finding out from our Congresswoman's office when the $3 million funding will be actually available to the town. It'd be nice if we had that before we voted, but I suppose we have to vote to do it before we can get the money, but we can always hope. So any other questions on that, on the timeline? So I don't want to stick to this, as this is what we've talked about. And it gives us enough time, again, to if people have questions. We're gonna put a lot of information up on the website. We're gonna have some meetings before in the informational meetings, so there'll be plenty of public forums leading up to this vote. Get the word out. And again, we're gonna put something in the Chronicle for 3 pages. So we should have plenty of publicity and information out on that. Any questions from the board on that? Okay, thank you. Next, we have transportation update. I see we have both of our transfer station workers in attendance today. Welcome. Any updates? I saw the buildings coming along. I think we're waiting for windows at this point. To get, that's the major thing that's has to be done in order for the building to be renovation to be finished. They did some outside, I saw they were doing outside work last week, and I believe we're going to paint it also. So what's up, Ted? How are things going down there?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. They started painting inside. Craig, I can't remember his last name, but yeah, Craig Simons, he started painting inside, primer. I guess he's going to be there tomorrow to do some more second coat. It's looking good. We did a little exterior work where the wood that met the ground for years had rotted. All that has now been taken care of. So the water shouldn't rot the wood like it has. So that way, when we get to finish paint job on the outside, it'll look good. It's coming along. I don't know the status of our mini split. I don't know the status of it right now, but I guess we're basically waiting for windows and some electrical work.
Great. Yeah, so one thing, if I get a minute, I'm going to try to do is take a look at our trash flows for the last year and compare it to the year before and see what our volumes are at. And again, going into next year, we're having increased tip fees. Again, our recycling program is really important. But anyway, I think we're getting in good shape down there. And anything else on transfer station updates?
If I may, have we had a quote yet from Josh about the new water line, or
I have not.
how do we stand with that?
I asked him for a quote on that because it's going to be a little bit of a tricky project, and I think he knows where things are there. But I have not. I have not gotten a quote, but I'll put it on my list to call him up and see if we can nail something down there.
And also about the Wi-Fi, has that been talked about yet? I know you were saying something about some kind of receiver, or I'm not versed on it, but
Yeah.
for a long range, so we can do away with the underground wires. You were talking about putting it up in the attic of the town garage. My only concern is with that now that we're doing video cameras, will that interfere with any Wi-Fi? I'm not versed on that. That's why I'm asking.
No, I'm coming to you live via radio waves. So we beam our coverage from Town Street, half mile up our driveway. So it seems, and we can have three, just even with cable, we can have three different video displays at once here. So it seems pretty strong. The technology seems good. And animals can't eat the sound waves. So some ways it's more reliable. So I'm pretty confident with that. I could, I know John Bevins did install our system, so I could ask him to do that. I think Jim talked to the guy who was doing these cameras and said that maybe, I think he was the one that, suggested that, which is a good idea. So anyway, we'll follow up on that, getting you a signal across the brook. Yeah. We've got a couple of quotes on doing that. Okay, anything else down there? Ready to go?
I think we're all
Okay.
set. Do you have anything? Maybe I missed.
No, I think we're good.
Good.
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
So I know we've been talking about getting food composting at
Yep.
dump. And I just read some more statistics yesterday that food makes up 56% of municipal waste. So if we could lower, our weight of our waste, anything, I mean, that would lower our tipping fee clearly. I'm just wondering, kind of where we are in the scheme of things with setting that up, or what we can do to move that peanut forward possibly.
Well, it's been an interesting time. I think from my conferences down at the mobile office, it seems like actually the compost program in place in surrounding towns at this time is actually costing more, like significantly more, like 7 or 8 times as much per pound to get rid of compost as it does regular put it in the dumpster. So it actually, at this point, we do not have a magic bus that comes here and takes it away for less than we less. And I don't mind spending more, but a lot more just seemed like we hadn't gotten, the program hasn't gotten there yet. So there are a couple leads that we're pursuing with that. And I know it's the town of Salisbury is proposing some sort of grant that would help subsidize those costs that Curtis Rand is pursuing. One, I had a visitor in the office and he said that he has noticed that the 56% depends on who you are. He said his bag of garbage weighs about a pound, but he actually collects from other people in town that throw away a lot of garbage. So their bags weigh 20 pounds. So, and they don't eat leftovers. So a lot of it's lifestyle, and whether you're in the leftover business, let alone the chicken business. So what he suggested was that we do a video to educate people on proper recycling, which he said, we have videographer on this meeting, and it might be really kind of fun and Cornwall-esque to do something. It'd be fairly easy to do. He's willing to star as the person that does it incorrectly, and then we would have somebody do it correctly and then put it out there. And then have some of these things that, I mean, because, and as Ted and Will have said, the amount of corn cobs that we process is a lot. And as opposed to just going out and burying them, or, said, let alone feed something. But the idea is, if people can reduce the amount that they're either bringing in or having somebody bring in to the landfill, that's sort of where it starts, is something we could work on. And whether it's a little video campaign over the summer showing technique, it might be fun. There certainly are enough professional and amateur actors in town, and enough, we do have the means to make video. So that seemed like a good suggestion in my mind, that might get us an intermediate step towards trying to reduce the amount going into our facility. Because at this
It might be
point,
fun to challenge the kids to do that.
yeah, of course, we're about out of school, but maybe there's a group, maybe there's somebody at school that would want to take that on. And as a recurring thing, maybe next year, when they have the 8th grade projects and things. So I think there are things we can do. We don't have the outside service. It seems like it's a great value at this point, but there are other towns we can talk to, and there's other probably companies we can talk to, and we can do some homegrown promotional films or educational films that might get people talking. A lot of this is just reinforcing the message of, again, the whole idea of, having Monday night be leftover night instead of bringing everything to the, bringing all those scraps to the dump.
Well, I'm just curious if we could have a homegrown solution, at the dump. Lib Tobin has been looking into this a bit, and, it might be a resource to help build something at the dump that would be able to be utilized.
Yeah, I mean, we could also look as there's a way we can make our own compost there. Again, we have we do have a loader there. But, again, we run into the need to control vermin and, noise orders, create their own set of issues in the summer, especially. And we have to be permitted. One of the hardest things was, who was it? Somebody, Falls Village had something all set up where they collect wood chips, and the state, they wanted to collect household garbage and compost the wood chips with the garbage. State gave them a really hard time doing that. So again, the Falls Village, working with Maria, trying to get some flexibility and common sense into DEP. Some days easier than others. So, yeah. So again, anything we do like that has to be permitted, and we have to apply to redo our permits and all that. So it's not super easy to pull off. And I think our easiest message is for people to do their best themselves to cut down on the amount of stuff, especially food scraps they're bringing in.
I feel like it's two-pronged. I think, we have to ask people have the responsibility, but it feels like a very Cornwall kind of program to have a compost that we've created at our town dump too.
Okay, anyway, we will continue the discussion. Anything else on the transfer station? We do have money in next year's budget to do some composting, so hopefully we will find something. But as we said, the easiest solution is to reduce the inputs. Yes, Priscilla?
I was just going to give my compliments to Ted and Will, because they are always so helpful. I'm one of those people that goes to the dump regularly, and sometimes I'm not quite sure where what should be sent, and they're very helpful. I want everyone to know how much I appreciate that.
Very true.
Maybe you can star in our video. Supporting role. Never know. That'd
No.
be good. All right, perfect. All right, bottle and can fund, we did look at this last meeting. I did make some changes. I looked into the history of all this. Goes back at least to 2011. The town is, collected bottles for a long time, being before 2011. At that time, we had people come and they would either pick up cans, return them to collection centers. So we had a policy that would regulate that, the bottles and cans, where they would go, where the money would go. Since then, I've made some changes. Biggest changes is to make it obvious, something that had been in place, that the selectmen ultimately grant the authority of any proposal to access these funds or these bottles. Historically, people like Bill Deneen would come in and actually take the bottles themselves, or down to Watertown, or Hunt Williams did this for the Episcopal Church. Recently, another evolution has been the transfer station employees, the town crew, come and truck the bottles themselves. We also took a look at how much money has been generated since 2011. And so what happens is, either a organization can truck the bottles, cans themselves, or else we'll truck them. And over those 11 years, $17,000 of returnable bottles have generated, or $17,000 in money to Cornwall organizations has been generated through this program. We've dispersed that amount of grants to the Cornwall Agricultural Fund, which helps fund the agricultural fair, the Chapel of All Saints. I think they did some scholarships, Cub Scout Pack 3, a couple 8th grade fundraisers, Cornwall Library, Women's Society, Housatonic Camera Club. So a couple more for Women's Society scholarships. So anyway, it's been great. And I'd also like to say that if there's nobody makes a request for that, money then goes back into the town's general fund. So $11,000 has gone back in the general fund over those 11 years. So for a total savings of $29,000, or total revenue generated of $29,000, which otherwise would go into the mixed glass and bottles, and then we would actually just have to pay to get those trucked away. So it's thanks to Ted and Will's and their predecessors' work to extract those deposits out, which I think actually that may be going up to 10 cents, so even more valuable resource over a period of years, has extracted a lot of money for local charities and the general fund. So that's what I found out. So I'd make a motion that we modify our policy. And the two changes will be that the grant requests are to be submitted to the Board of Selectmen, which is the first dot, and the last dot. In the absence of the grant requests, all funds recovered from the bottle and can redemption will automatically be deposited in the general fund and will not be available for grant requests, which is what happens if we get unassigned revenue coming to the town. It goes into the general fund and to the town reserves. So I'll make a motion that we modify this policy to clarify what does happen to the returnable bottles. I did show this to our workers. So is there a second to modify this policy?
Second,
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion. We are all those in favor?
aye.
Aye. And we, last meeting did, ran $1,000 request for raise money to help MS work. So anyway, thank you both for mining our recyclable resources and putting the money to good work. So let's see, anything else on the bottle and can fund?
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah,
I just want the selectmen to realize this. That Steve O'Neill initiated this program. That money's the cans and bottles, plastic and cans, and at that time, glass. All those were donated by the townspeople. We have a carriage that they used to bring them in. They dump them in there because for whatever reason, they said it was a good idea to give it either back to the town or non-charitable charities or whatever, was available, whatever people wanted that was available. Never once was there a check written out to an individual person. I would just want the selectmen to realize that it was always going to the greater people of the town, whether it be high school students, adults, an after school program, someone traveling abroad that needed help reaching their goals, so that way they would be able to go. I just want that to be on note. That's all. Thank you.
got it. Good. All right. So, and again, I think the return rate, the return amount's going up, so there should be even more minables there. Okay, Northwest Cares booklet. I see Ella Clark is with us. She is a longtime social service agent in Sharon, Cornwall resident, who has organized the Cornwall Cares booklet in the past. And we did have a Northwest booklet. I think we did have a picture of that sent out to the selectmen. It's basically a 60-page booklet that which lists all the social service resources that are available for people in, there it is. Okay, Priscilla has a cover sheet there. So it was last put out, I believe, 5 years ago. So quite a bit has changed in that time. So what she's asking that each town contribute $300 to allow it to be updated and reprinted, so it's available. And I think also, Ella, it'd be good. There's no reason why we couldn't also put that on our website, is there? If we digitized it and got it available. So anyway, Ella, do you want to answer? Can you answer a few questions? You just need to unmute yourself. Yeah, welcome, Ella. Thank you for your efforts. And I think this idea makes a lot of sense to give people the information. My only question, I guess, is can we digitize it? Can we put it up on the area website so it's available to people? Or is there anything in there that shouldn't be publicized?
Thank you, Gordon. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yes, clear.
Yeah, Kara is working on the digitally available website for the Northwest Cares resource book. It'll be available for everybody very soon.
Great. All right. So then I'll make a motion that we allocate $300. There's the 2017 version. Well worn. I believe the request is $300, Ella.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
great
okay.
if you could do that.
Right, we can do that, certainly. So I'll make a motion that we do that.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
Can the selectmen get copies of that, Ella?
Indeed, they will.
Thank you very much.
Right, and we'll have, there's also there'll be printed copies available at town hall or to our social service agent. We will have, each town will get several dozen copies for people that aren't plugged in or whatever.
It's a great resource.
Good. Okay, so any discussion, and there's a second on that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Ella, for that effort to get us up to date.
Thank you.
Ever-changing world. Yeah, great. Next, let's see, Cornwall has a representative spot for the Northwest Connecticut Visitors Bureau. Previously, during COVID, Bob Ensign had filled that spot. His business is so busy now at the West Covered Bridge Electric Bike that he does not have time to put into that. Mayor Rubin, who is a new member on the Economic Development Committee, volunteered her time and energy to be representative. I think she'd be great to do that. So again, trying to reconnect with some groups to help promote things to visit in Cornwall. So I'd make a motion to appoint Mayor Rubin as a town representative to the Western Connecticut Visitors Bureau. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have the tax suspense list, which is for overdue small amounts of tax, usually motor vehicles, that come up from time to time. The tax collector makes a request to the Board of Selectmen, or maybe it's the Board of Finance, to put these taxes in what's called the suspense list. They're still owed and collectible, but this allows her to turn them over to a collection agency. So I would make a motion that we grant the tax collector's request to add more, to update the suspense list and add the new list that our tax collection rate is very high, over 98%, maybe even over 99%. So this is not major revenue, but it just allows us to employ a collection agency to get some people that have slipped. So is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jean. Okay. Let's see. Now, public comment, my only one public comment comes from the school, and that is CCS is doing their walkathon this Friday to raise money. I think some of the money is going to a refugee relief in Ukraine. I'm not sure what the other one is. They're starting at 1 o'clock this Friday, intersection Cream Hill, Cherry Hill, Cogswell Road. All classes, supposed to be a nice day. We'll be out there pounding the pavement. So if people are in the northwestern part of town, just beware. We will have some traffic control out there, but there may be more young people in Cornwall than you've seen in a long time, out on the roads raising money for good causes. Any other public comments?
Couple of questions,
Yeah,
Gordon.
Ruth. Yes,
Yes.
questions from the press.
Press. Eversource, is that a $20,000 grant?
Up to 20,000. My
Yep.
advisor said it shouldn't cost us that much, but anyway, that's after I've become educated, we will pursue a grant and talk to figure out some of the things as far as how does the billing work and everything. But that is the up to $20,000 grant.
And the Apex bid is for how much?
The Apex bid is it's for $6,129.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
any other questions? Any other questions from the press? I
Well,
see
and-
comments from, I see a hand waving. I
Yeah, there's a
hear a
hand
dog
waving.
barking.
There's a hand
Yes,
waving. The Lakeville
Okay.
Journal. waving.
Lakeville Journal is here.
Yeah.
Yes, hello.
Well, on that Apex grant, what would that be? What would that be funding? I mean, the.
That would
Apex
be funding
cost is
security cameras at the town garage.
not- Okay,
That's what we're doing with that.
at the town garage only. Okay,
Yes, if some of it would actually be pointed towards the gate at the transfer station. So we'd have multiple
okay.
screens.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mag, I saw a hand up. Yep.
There. I don't know whether I'm on the floor or the Barry's cat. We raised our fingers at the same time.
Right.
Anyway, I just wanted to footnote when you said Ella was the social services person in Sharon for all that time. I think it also should be noted that she invented chore service and ran it like forever, which has made such a huge difference to so many people in the region. That's all.
Okay, thank you for that acknowledgement. It's certainly well deserved. Any other public comments? Late breaking news from the polls. Region 1 referendum in Cornwall.
40 yes, 6 no.
40 yes, 6 no. So there you go. Still determined by 5 other towns, but seems like Cornwall is satisfied with our high school budget and it passed here. So anyway, on that, I will thank you all for attending. A lot of subjects covered. And anyway, thanks for coming and we'll see you soon. A lot to do next time too. So anyway, thanks for paying attention and all your hard work. Take care. Good night.
Night.
Good night.